Whoa! Well, howdy and welcome to the Bender Bunker. Now let's just be honest right from the get-go here. There's no bender involved in this lesson. We're going to do a standard guitar lesson, in this case some slide guitar. And I get to sit down instead of stand up. I kind of like that. So anyway, the gist of this lesson is if you're really just starting out playing some slide, you want to do some bluesy type slide guitar, or maybe like me, you need to learn quick, because I've been in some bands in the past. I'm not a natural slide player, and I've been in some bands where I had to get into a slide song pretty quick. So I developed some quick shortcuts back in those days when I was trying to learn all that stuff, and I'm here to share them with you. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be playing very similar to what you just heard on this opening, no problem, because there's some real quick and easy, what we're calling guitar hacks, to get you there in a hurry. So if that sounds good to you, go grab your slide, the one that's been gathering dust, or maybe a beer bottle, whatever you're into. Grab the guitar of your choice, and let's get right to it. Okay, let's get started with our guitar hack blues slide journey. And before we go ahead and try and get the slide out and go straight to the entree, we've got to do a little prep work in the kitchen. And the main thing we're going to need to cover is the concept of open tunings. In my opinion, the fastest and easiest way to sound good with a slide from the beginning is to be in an open tuning. And that's one of the reasons so many great slide players from the past and current use open tunings as well. There's open E, there's open G, those kind of things. So we're going to be in open G today. That's my preference. And you say, hey, I'm not exactly sure what open G is. Or maybe you got some sticky fingers. So yeah, you probably heard open G, but maybe you're not exactly sure on how to tune your guitar. So let's get that tuned up real quick for you. I'll also put it on the screen here so you can play the home game. But you're really only going to make changes from standard tuning to basically 2 strings. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your high E down to a D, B stays the same, G stays the same, D stays the same, and then you take your A string down to G. So you've taken your high E down to D, and you've taken your A string down to G. Now depending on what camp you're in, there's the question of what to do with the low E string. Technically for open G, you're supposed to take your low E down to a D. Not a lot of guys like that. I don't find that useful. Keith Richards found it so not useful that he actually took the low E off his guitar completely and has a lot of 5-string tellies. When you see him play live on those videos, watch it closely and you're going to see a lot of 5-string telly action. I myself don't have enough tellies to have a 5-stringers just sitting around for when I feel like playing slide or open G. So what I do is I take the low E on mine and I actually raise it up to G. So it's actually mimicking the A string that's in G. So my bottom 2 strings are in the same key. Now I find that, so if I accidentally hit it, it doesn't really come across as a problem, and I actually find on some of the chords, it actually gives it a little bit more bottom end. So that's what I do. Again, traditionally you would go down to a low D on that E, but for this lesson, just so you'll know, I tune up. You can just be like Keith and go 5 strings, whatever works for you. The next thing I prep when I'm ready to play a slide song is I tend to roll the treble back off of my Telecaster because it gets a little too bright when I'm bringing a slide into the picture. The next thing I do is I go to my pedal board, and I usually have a compressor on. It's usually on a low kind of setting just to even my sound out and give me a little bit more sustain in my sound. I actually take that low setting to what I'd call a medium setting. I kind of double it because I need a little bit of sustained help on this Telecaster with the slide, and I find that the compressor is my best secret weapon when I'm trying to play slide, taking it up to a higher setting. Yes, it adds a little noise, but I find it more than worth it for the slide playing. And then the next thing I do is I'll add a little reverb and slap echo to taste. Again, that's kind of give it that haunting, bluesy sound, but also to give me a little bit of sustained help as well. So again, there you have it. You've got to get to that open tuning of your choice. For this lesson, we're going to be in G. Maybe add a little bit more sustain for your pedal board if you have that option. Maybe roll off your treble a little bit because the slide can be a little bit metallic or glassy sounding, and I find that rolling your treble off can help with that. So those are my prep tips, and now we're going to get out of the kitchen and go out to the barbecue and cook the entree, so stand by. Okay, I moved up here so we can get a little bit closer to the hot fretboard action, and let's begin the slide journey. Now, as you'll notice, I am playing with a metal slide on my ring finger. And we're not going to get into whether it should be metal, glass, ring finger, pinky. There's much better videos on the U-Face for those type of topics. But just So you'll know what you're seeing. You're seeing a metal on the ring finger. Now the first thing I want you to do is just, now that we're tuned to open G, of course, is I want you to go ahead and kind of hit your A string and your D string and your G string. So the rhythm parts we're going to be doing for this lesson are going to kind of be bass right. Now of course, because like I have my low E tuned up to G, if I hit that, it really doesn't matter. Like here's me not hitting it and here's me hitting it. Can't really tell the difference. That's why I like doing it that way. So there we are. And just so there's a couple of frets to throw in here that are fun in this type of a jam in open G that you heard me do in the intro that I'll go over real quick so we can have a little bit more variation on this and not just slide, is on the G string, I'm on the 3rd fret, sounds good, and also open. D string 2nd fret, open, and A string 3rd fret. That was just using those 3 strings to kind of give you some variety to when you're jamming in this open G chord. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce the slide. I want you to kind of bring it in around the 1st fret and bring it up to the 3rd. Now when I say bring it up to the 3rd fret, unlike when you're playing with your finger where you'd want to be under the fret so you don't fret out, when you're playing slide, your target actually is going to be the fret itself. That's going to give you the best pitch control for what you're trying to do and what key you're in. So you're coming up to the... So let's hit it, let's kind of hit those strings and then introduce the slide. Yeah, you might have heard that one. Okay. So that's the first position I want you to get comfortable with is the 3rd fret. The next thing we're going to do is on this jam is going to be the 5th fret. The 7th. And then all the way up to the 12th, which is the octave G. So on this jam, it's 5th, 7th, okay, that's really as far as we're going to go in terms of this jam. We don't really need to do much more for these teaching purposes. The next thing I'm going to show you now is so let's say when we're going up to our 5th for the 2nd chord of the 3-chord jam. The run I want to teach you is... That's a pretty easy one. What I'm doing is I'm sliding into the top 2 strings, then I'm going down to the B string on the 3rd fret, and I'm coming up to the G string back where I was on the 5th. So I'm hitting those top 2, pretty much coming right on that 3rd fret B string, and sliding that up into the 5th fret G. Now we're going to introduce that into the jam. So there we do. We're doing the 5th and the 7th fret as well, but we're doing the exact same lick, which gave it a nice variety. Now the next thing I want to introduce is the concept of playing the octave G up here on the 12th. That makes it sound really flashy. So on same kind of jam. Okay, sounds flashier than it really is. In fact, to get started, all I really want you to do is take the top 2 strings and go up there to the 12th off that jam. That's just the octave G. Of course it's going to sound good because we are in G. And then you can go ahead and do that same kind of 3-note run that we were doing on the 5th and the 7th earlier once you get up there. And then a quick variation on that works on that exact run is when you're resolving on the G string, you can go down to Then the last variation I'll show you to give you a little bit more vocabulary with this type of playing is, and just for simplicity's sake, we'll be up here on the 5th. I found when in this style of playing in this open tuning is when you're on a given key, in this case we're on the 5th fret, if we go 3 up on the top 2 strings, 1, 2, 3, there I'm in open G, so when I go 3 up, that's actually on the 3rd fret on the top 2 there for the bass chord. So there you have it. You've got the concept of just the bass chord, which can be serviced off the 3rd fret. You've got the concept that it's just like any other 3-chord blues jam. You're just finding the key that you want. And you can go all the way up to 12th if you want to go octave on it. Another quick word about octave, it may be obvious, but I'm going to go ahead and state it. So let's say when you're going up to your 2nd chord on the 5th, just do the exact same thing an octave up. Same with the 7th in this jam. Take it an octave up. Obviously, it really grabs the attention and takes it to a whole different frequency. It's going to jump out of the band, so make sure that's what you want to do. But if you want to make a statement, an octave will help you do that. So hopefully with the open tunings, some of the basic shapes I've shown you, a couple of the tips on how to prep for this, you too can fake your way through a blues jam if you have to. These are the things that got me through some of the songs I had to fake in previous bands when a blues slide was called for. Another quick tip that may not be obvious to some, obviously we're in G and the singer calls out, I got to do this song in A. Okay, what I do is I'll grab a capo and I'll just capo it right there. That'll take this open G to basically an open A, and then the same chord shapes will apply up and down the neck, just of course in slightly different intervals. But a capo can be your friend when you are in this open tuning and the singer wants to transpose it on the fly, which has happened to me a couple of times. I'm not a great slide player, so my mind doesn't instantly adjust. Oh, I know how to do that. The capo really saved my butt a couple of times. So there you go. That's the Guitar Hack Blues Slide lesson. And I hope it was helpful to you in some way. If you've got other guitar playing friends that are just starting out with the slide, this might be a good thing for them to see, so share it if you would. As always, if you're enjoying the ride, hit subscribe, and especially in these parts, as always, especially in the Delta, it's never too late to go on a bender. So thanks for watching.